over the past month and a half or so, I've developed a really big crush on a coworker.
What is up, guys? Pastor John here. Welcome to my channel, Man of God, where we draw closer to Christ to become the men that God desires us to be. Today we are going to be talking about a subject that most men are familiar with, and that's fantasizing about other women. The problem is, though, is when you get married and you're fantasizing about women and your wife's kind of just sitting there, and in your mind you've made up your own little harem. And it's a topic that a lot of us struggle with. So let's watch this little video here. This is Dr. John Deloney's show, which you can check him out. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of his. He does give some good advice, but I don't know. Sometimes he's almost like too, modern psychology emphasis, and some of it comes off a little weird. But this is just a call in from somebody. The title is "I have a crush on a coworker, but I'm married." So we'll just listen to it.
My wife and I recently moved here to Phoenix. A few months ago, I started a brand new job, totally new city, new state, all of that. And over the past month and a half or so, I've developed a really big crush on a coworker. And I feel like I feel like I'm back in high school, and it's it's a very weird feeling. I've been happily married for almost 4 years, and my marriage is great, and I don't know why all of a sudden this has come up, but it has, and I'm not sure how to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I...
Yeah, so that guy has such a weird reaction when he tells him that he has a crush on somebody at work and he's married. It's like he's giving him a high five or something and stuff like that. I don't know. Dr. John Deloney, he's got 1.2 million subscribers, so he's kind of connected with Dave Ramsey's. I think he gets a lot of viewers from that, but I just don't like how he reacted to that, like almost like, oh yeah, there you go, good job. And the guy who called in, I don't want to judge him, right? Because I don't know his total situation. So I'm just going to make a hypothetical case and not any personal attack to him, but we'll just use him as kind of like a caricature of the average man who is in that type of situation, because we want to be gracious to him. But when he says he has a crush on his coworker, that can mean a lot of things. It could mean you're just kind of interested in their personality, and you're like friends, or you could be real deep into fantasizing about her. I would bet that it's the latter, where you meet a girl and then you start thinking about that girl, and if you have a crush on her, you're attracted to her, and you compartmentalize. This is the point I want to make today. Guys are really good at compartmentalizing things, so they can have their wife and then they have their harem inside of their mind. And those are almost like two separate worlds, in theory. We'll get to what it actually results in. Most guys who have a crush on a girl are going to sexually fantasize about her. There's nothing wrong with noticing a beautiful woman. God created men to notice beauty. He created all people to notice beauty. What the problem is when that goes to a state of lust. And everybody knows the difference between appreciating someone who's beautiful and then starting to obsess about their features. You start to objectify them. You start to live a fantasy world where you're having sex with her.
Now, there's a difference between love and lust, and Sebastian Temple, the great African folk singer, has written these words. Listen. Love is silence. Lust is a roar. Love is a sacrifice. Lust always wants more. Love is giving. Lust only takes. Love is a mending of hearts. Lust only breaks.
Now, this is what's not talked about in most scenarios where you call in and ask advice. You know, he says he has a healthy marriage, 4 years. And that could be the case and is the case, I'm sure. The problem is for most guys, they still have a habit of masturbating and looking at porn. If you've been married 4 years, it's still relatively fresh, you being with your wife. So you can still probably have a decent sex life with her and whack off and look at porn. Those two things can probably hold at the same time. But with time, that gets stale and old if you are whacking off and looking at porn as well. Because your brain is like, well, I've been looking at this woman for 4 years. I still am happy being married, but what else is out there? The stimulus needs to go up. And you've probably your whole life trained your brain to look at women in a way where you can go home and then fantasize about them while you're pleasuring yourself. A lot of guys not only whack off to porn and fantasize about women that they encounter, but they also use their time when they have sex with their wife fantasizing about other women as well.
The ones that match the seeds. I kind of went with that.
I traveled 500 miles to give you my seed.
Lumberjack?
Now that is where the compartmentalization starts to break down. You think that you can control the two realms. Here's my fantasy world, here's my real world.
We were in the middle of our tournament when my friend John said he found a body in the bushes over there. I ran over there because I'm a healing monk to try and help, but obviously my magic wasn't strong enough because the dude's body was missing a head. So my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
But that's not how the heart is. Our hearts really can only chase after one woman at a time, at least. I mean, a lot of guys are chasing like a crazy guinea pig, all like 10 women. But really, if you have a crush, it's like you're wooing that girl in your mind. If you remember when you first met your wife or your girlfriend, you committed to her, you bought her flowers, you were obsessed with her. Well, that's what the mind is doing. In this case, it is seeing that fantasy as the new girlfriend, the new wife. And what that causes is a subtle change in how you treat your real world wife or girlfriend. Because she no longer is the object of your heart, and she actually becomes the thing keeping you from realizing your fantasy.
Why can't I tell you about my day?
You can tell me about my day, but not when I'm reading the book. Come on.
You come home.
You
never want to listen to me.
How was your day? Saying, I'm so happy out at lunch with my lover. It's not real. It's not real. We aren't even at lunch.
It's subtle and sometimes, and other times it's overt. And that's when people cheat and adultery. But both cases, whether it's subtle in your mind or overt eventually, is detrimental to your relationship. It's detrimental to your soul. Christ says in Matthew, let me pull it up, sorry guys, Matthew 5:28, but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. We want to pretend that we can keep it all separate, right? We have our harem on one side of the brain, we have our wife on the other side. It doesn't work like that. We commit our hearts even to our fantasies. And what the heart does, eventually it bubbles out in some way. And I'm not saying that everybody who fantasizes about a woman is going to commit adultery. What I am saying is when you fantasize about another woman, when you're thinking about her, when you're whacking off or having sex with your wife, you are no longer fully committed to your wife as if you were committing adultery. And think of it on the other side. If your wife was fantasizing about another man when you were sleeping with her, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't like that. And some people would say, yeah, I don't care, whatever. But it's true. Like, if you're, in the bedroom, getting down, and she's like thinking about some other dude and his wiener and how much better it is than yours, if anybody's honest, that's not right. And it's adulterous. So that's why we can't feed the seeds of lust. And that's why masturbation and porn, it's like gasoline on the fire. It requires the additional stimulus, the constant satisfaction loop of dopamine. And it's not just a old, archaic thing in the Bible saying, oh, you should only have sex with your wife and you shouldn't fantasize about other women. It's actually telling you how to flourish in life. When you're fully committed to your wife and you actually have sex with her and you don't have all these fantasies of other women bouncing around your head, that is the best sex you'll ever have and the most satisfied you'll ever have. So, what do you guys think? Is it not a big deal? Have you had compartments your whole life? Have those compartments started to bleed into each other? Let me know what you think. And I think it's a bigger problem than we want to admit. But I'll leave you with this blessing. May the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Until next time.